Howdy, my fellow lovers of learning. My name is Dylan Schlosser. The creator of this beautiful presentation is Ms. Eunice Flores, and we're here to talk about symbolic interactionism theory. Now, symbolic interactionism theory is a relatively simple concept. It's more of a subjective paradigm or philosophy that aims to understand why some people react differently to something than someone else, basically. And we basically get to this by realizing a few things. Number one, that people hold meaning to different symbols, right? And symbols are going to be anything. They could be something physical. It could be something like a symbol of something is like marriage, something like a nonverbal gesture. And each of these symbols hold some sort of either meaning within a society, within an individual. But the important thing to know is that these meanings are not static. They do not hold throughout time, that they can constantly change, right? But for instance, if I were to wave to you, this is a nonverbal gesture, right? If I were to wave to you and you saw me waving, would you understand what I was trying to say? The reason that you understand what I'm trying to say is because you've, through social norms, learned what this nonverbal gesture can mean. So for example, if we have something like a baby coming into a new family, a new relationship, right? The mother and father might see this baby in two different lights. The father may see the baby as something that's going to just cost him a lot of money, or he may see it as a way to, create his legacy. The mother may see it as something where she's not going to get any more sleep for a long time. Or she may see it as a way to nurture their relationship and actually come closer to her husband and improve her religion, maybe even come closer to Christ. But the point is that these two people may hold different meaning to the baby coming into their relationship. And because of the way they hold these meanings, they're going to behave differently to this new symbol. Right? So if the father sees it as just something that's going to cost him a lot of money, he's going to behave a little bit more negatively than if the mother sees it as a way to nurture their relationships. But the important thing to know, and the aim to understanding, or the aim for this theory, is that no meaning to any one symbol is constant. That it's constantly changing, actually. These meanings aren't static, and they don't hold true through all societies or all times. So if this meaning for the baby is negative about spending money, then maybe we can understand why he would hold this meaning. And we know that we hold meanings based on past life experiences, through socialization, agents such as our school, our family, and our friends. And so if the wife can kind of understand why he or he thinks so negatively about this baby, then maybe she can influence him differently. So let's say that maybe he thinks that the baby's going to cost money because when he was a teenager, his parents had a little boy that was kind of sick and actually cost him a lot of money, and he wasn't able to get certain things for his birthday because the medical bills were too high. And so it's kind of held like this negative meaning for him, that babies actually cost tons of money. And maybe she can influence that and say, well, what about, when he was growing up? Did it improve your relationship? Did you look out for him? Did you actually have a good time? Do you feel like your family is stronger because of it? Did you come out stronger because of it? Did you learn anything other than just, did it cost a lot of money? Right? So because of these, if we can be objective and try to see that this meaning that we hold to a symbol isn't the same meaning as everyone else, and try to be objective with being subjective, if that's possible, then we can actually interact with people better and try to put ourselves in their shoes. And this can be seen actually in the movie The Father of the Bride. And the clip isn't working, but in the movie, the bride here in the picture is having a little bit of a breakdown, right? And the father kind of comes into her wailing and crying and says, "What's wrong?" And she says, "I'm calling off the wedding." And because he sees her react in this way, he believes and says, "Was there another woman?" Right? And that's the reaction he jumps to because it's such a serious reaction, right? She says no. It basically boils down to him getting her this gift. And he says, a gift? What could possibly be so wrong with a gift? And so she whips it out, and it's actually a blender, right? And says it's a gift that he got her to commemorate them getting this new apartment. And he said that he got it for their new apartment. So to him, this is where we understand this theory to come into place, right? To understand the subjectivity of it. To him, the meaning of this symbol, and the symbol being the blender, is just this way to kind of celebrate they're getting a new apartment. The symbol, which is the blender, to the father is just a gift. It's a way to show love. But this blender, the symbol, to the fiance, the wife, the daughter, is actually a symbol of a gender role, right? She says that he thinks that I'm just going to cook all the time because I'm going to be some housewife. And so it's a negative meaning for her. Because from some past experiences, something that she's learned is that blenders can be associated with housewives, right? So this symbol that was meant to be positive actually ends up being negative. And so we need to understand that nothing basically is going to be the same, right? Even something as simple as a blender can mean something totally different to someone else. This can also be found in a different clip that we have in Shrek. Based on a symbol that is ourself, right? So we understand that another assumption in this theory is that symbols can be held to anything, whether it be a baby, a blender, a tree, or a simple wave. But one of the most important symbols that we can have and hold meaning to is ourself. And this is found in something called salience, right? So what we do is through our past experiences and how we think people see us, right? Our self-concept, what we believe people think about us, is a definition we will give. So through reflection, self-reflection, we hold the definition to ourself. And through this definition we have given ourself, we will then behave accordingly. So we will influence this definition through our behaviors, right? And this is found in the movie Shrek, when Shrek meets Fiona's parents. And because he's an ogre, he feels that they're going to see him as an ogre, and that's it. And so he behaves as such. He behaves ugly and mean and kind of quick to anger. And she even says at one point, "You're acting like," and he says, "Say it." And she says, "An ogre." And because he's given this definition of himself, because people have always treated him like an ogre. People have always been so mean to him, assuming that he's just some gross monster. He acts this way. And then when she says that, it kind of just reaffirms what he believes, because that is the definition he has given himself based on his self-concept, right? And so that is the way that he behaves. But later on, we find that she can understand why he feels this way and kind of actually soften and warm his heart and change that belief that he's more than just an ogre, that he's a person, right? And so we understand that we have these self-concepts that define ourselves. But these self-concepts are made up of so many different things, right? Our social norms, gender roles, right? Or just roles in general. But we can hold symbols, we can hold meanings, but the important thing to know is that it's very subjective. If we can understand the subjective point of view to any symbol, then maybe we can kind of take a step back when we're in interactions, when things go a little negative in our everyday interactions, or things go a little awry when arguments happen, and maybe try to understand why someone react negatively. Why maybe we would react negatively and someone else wouldn't. Then maybe we could try to explain to them. Maybe we can actually try to, not maybe explain, but try to understand why they feel that way about this certain symbol. And when we can do that, we put ourselves in their shoes, and we can either influence them to believe what we believe, or maybe we can understand their belief and actually influence our belief and change these meanings. So to wrap things up, the whole point of this theory is to try to be more objective in understanding subjectivity, right? So we want to understand that people are going to hold meanings to symbols, and those meanings may not be the same meanings that we have. And those meanings, or those symbols, can be anything from a wave, right? So here, saying "come here" with our hands, waving our hands, kind of saying to come here, can mean something totally different across the pond. And so it's not so much that we need to be careful, but try to understand that meanings could be different between two different people. And not to be quick to anger, but try to understand why someone could feel that way. And maybe we can influence and make the world a more positive place. Thank you.